Hello and welcome to a tutorial where I teach you how to create a music website homepage like this one. So this is going to be created using Bootstrap because we want to learn how to quickly come up with a page like this and how to modify Bootstrap classes in order to get something like this. So as you can see here, this is a fully responsive website, and eventually I'm going to use this template to create a fully fledged PHP website. So of course all the files you need to follow along are going to be in a link in the description. And as you can see here, we have the featured songs. We have another tab to show a different trending music and new releases over here. Okay. And then down here we have a hover effect on each one of these so that when the user wants to click, they are taken to the single page where they can play the music there. So it's pretty simple. And we have some quick links down here on the footer and subscribe to our newsletter. So let's see this in responsive view mode. So I'm going to go to responsive design mode here in Firefox. And as you can see, we also have drop-down menus here and icons. Of course, we're using Bootstrap icons here. Also, these are Bootstrap icons. So we're going to see how to use that as well. And as I resize the page, you see that it's fully responsive on all screen sizes. Okay. Up to somewhere there at 350 pixels, then that's the limit. So if I scroll down, you will notice that things still work as intended. Let's go down here. We have categories here still, and then we have the footer down here. So let's monitor how the footer is resizing when I move. There we go. And then it resizes like that. Also, the music section here, you can see as I resize, it's fully responsive so that even on mobile devices, the experience is pretty similar. Okay, so let's dive in and see how we can use Bootstrap to create something like this. All right, so we're going to need a few things in order to begin. And the first thing we're going to need, obviously, is Bootstrap because we'll be using Bootstrap classes. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Bootstrap is a CSS framework where some CSS classes have already been created, and all you have to do is use them in a specific way to get what you want. So it helps to speed up the design process, especially for people like me who like to actually code in PHP and not too concerned about the UI. So this is a good thing to use for people who want to quickly come up with a UI, and Bootstrap can be customized to your liking, of course. So we're going to use Bootstrap icons as well. So first of all, go to getbootstrap.com and then click on let's go to the home page so we can see it right here. So when you get to this, you can download the latest version of Bootstrap. It seems I actually don't have the latest version. Yeah, so no problem. Just click to download here, and then you get a zip folder with that. And then we'll need icons as well. So let's go to the icon section here. So what you do with this, come down here and get the current version. So if you click on this, as you can see, these are the list of icons you have here. There's a search bar right over here. If you type search for a specific icon, let's say person, and you get some results here, which is pretty good. And if you click on this one, releases, where does that lead? Wait a second. Internet so slow. Meanwhile, let's scroll down here. Once you, oops, this is a lot of icons. I think there's 1,600 icons here. So when we get to the bottom here, you see where they give you the CDN, which is a link you can include in your project to, oh, it finally worked. So when you click on that version 1.83, which is the current version now, you get this Bootstrap icon zip So just download that zip as well. Okay, so let's go back. And this is on the icons.getbootstrap.com. There's this CDN where you can just get a link to import the style sheet. Now, instead of doing that, let's get this link version here. So I'm going to copy that information. And also I have Sublime Text for my text editor. So you need a text editor of your choice. Whatever text editor you have, Notepad will be fine. I'm using Sublime Text, which you can download for free on the internet. Just search for it. So here I want to paste the CDN. So this is the link. So you can simply include this link in your project and then you can start using the icons. But I don't want to do that. I want to get it onto my local machine. So what I'll do is I'll grab this URL right here, the bootstrap up to bootstrap.css. Copy this because I want to open this link in the browser. So I'm going to open a new tab, paste and load that file. So this is what you see when you load the file. So as you can see here, it's including fonts, and the first font is bootstrap icons.woof2 and another one .woof, WOFF. So what you do is just select all the text here, Control A, copy, and then open your text editor, new file, and paste right here. Once you paste, you save this file. So we're going to save this file. Now on the desktop, I've created a folder called My Sites. Now please avoid putting spaces in your folder names. It's better that way. It reduces problems. So on your desktop, create a folder called My Sites. And then in there, we're going to create Soundwave. That's what we'll name our template. Soundwave. Don't put spaces. Open that. In there, I have a folder called Files, where I have put the downloaded version of Bootstrap. Mine is, I have 5.13 actually, not 5.2, which is the latest, but get the latest version. And then here I have Bootstrap Icons 1.8.3, so I've downloaded that zip as well. And right in here, let's put this one, and this one is the file we're going to call bootstrap dash icons dot min.css, like that. So save that. Make sure you're on all files here when saving, so that we don't add another file extension, and save. So I've saved it with that file name because this is the original file name it has. That's actually, there's no .min at the end, so maybe we can remove that. It doesn't really matter what you save it as, it's up to you. So let me close this. So now I have this file saved. Close that, and then this one as well I can close. I don't need this anymore. Close that. Okay, good. So now we have a folder on the desktop with these three things that we need. So what I'll do is I'll extract the icons thingy here. So extract to the folder, and I will also extract Bootstrap version here. Right click and extract to the folder for Bootstrap. There we go. Okay, good. So now I have these three things. Now what I will need in the icons section here is to open this. The icons are SVG format. So if you like to use SVG images on your project, this is much easier. Then you don't need to include the icon CSS file, because these are just images. So you can just use the icons as images if you want. But in my case, I want to use them as fonts. So I'm going to copy these fonts here, right click, I'll copy the fonts folder, go back to Soundwave folder where there's files, and then I want to organize myself better. So I'm going to, I will paste here, actually. Let me just paste there. So that's fonts. And a new folder, I'll rename this folder to CSS, so I can put my CSS files, and I will need one for images as well. And then I'll need another folder for JavaScript, so I'll put JS like that. Okay, so this is what we have. Files is just containing the files that we downloaded, so it's not really part of the project. But we want to copy files from files into some into CSS and some into JavaScript. So let's go back to files, and inside here we've already copied the fonts, so that's enough. Here let's get this bootstrap icons copy CSS. Go back here into CSS and paste it. Okay, back here to files, and let's go back to bootstrap folder, and in here you go to the dist, because that's what was distributed as for use. So in here there are two folders, CSS and JavaScript. So let's go in the CSS. There's all this. Now if you don't mind, you can just copy the whole CSS folder, that's fine, but we want to keep it minimal, so I'll get bootstrap.min.css and also bootstrap.min.css map. So I'll get these two, copy those, come back to Soundwave, go to CSS and paste them in here like that. Okay, and then let's come back to get some JavaScript. So back to files, bootstrap folder and JS, and then here we go to the dist again, distribution, and wait, I may have gone too far here. Let's go to, no, we don't need the source, we need the JavaScript files, bootstrap. Okay, so inside bootstrap folder, distribution, okay, I missed it there, then JS. Okay, so that's where we go. Now here we're going to copy the bootstrap.min.js and the min.js map. So let's just get those two, and back to put the JavaScript files. So back to JS folder and paste. So we need the JavaScript file for Bootstrap in order for the menus to open. So if your menus, you find your menus, the drop-down menus don't open, then there's something wrong with the JavaScript file. Okay, so with this, we are ready to go. And now we just need the index file in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my text editor, and right in here I will type begin. Actually, let me save this first. So I'm going to hit save, or you can click file new to create a new file, then save. And then right in Soundwave, right in the folder Soundwave, we're going to save a file called index.html. Okay, and make sure you're on all files and save. So we have our HTML file, which is HTML, the language that browsers understand. So here what I would do is I'll type HTML. So if you're using Sublime Text like me, I'm just typing the basic markup that we need for HTML file. So let me save this, and we are done. So let's put a title here. We'll call this one Soundwave Template. Okay, there we go. Good. So now that we have that, we can open it in our browser. So I'm just going to go to my browser here, and let me close this file. We can close the, no, we will need this to search for icons later. So let me just make sure we haven't repeated ourselves. We have here, let me close this tab, and we don't need this one either, and we'll leave this one open. Okay, so let's create a new tab and load our file. So in this new tab, what I can do is now I can drag and drop. You can either drag and drop, or you can press Alternate F to open the file menu, and then open file, and you can load it that way. Find it on your drive, or what you can do is you can just drag and drop it into your browser. So drag and drop, which is what I'll do, and I'll move it right next to this one. Okay, so we have an empty page, but at the top you see it writes Soundwave Template, because that's coming from our title there. Now, right in the head, we want to include our files because they're in the same folder. So make sure that these files are in the same folder. As you can see, there's an index.html file and all these here. So what we can do to make things easier on us is we can grab this Soundwave folder and drop it in Sublime Text. That way we can see our files from here, right? So this is the index.html. Great. Now I want us to include the CSS files in the folder here. So all these two, CSS, and then also include the JavaScript file in there. Okay, so I'll do this, I'll link. Okay, so that's the link to our file, and in order to go to our file from the HTML file, we just go to the CSS folder. So I'll do CSS/ and then type in the files. So there's bootstrap, make sure you spell it correctly, bootstrap.min.css. okay, so that's one file, and then duplicate again. This one will be bootstrap-icons.min.css. so those two files have been included, and then we want to include the JavaScript file as well. So it's a good idea to include the JavaScript file down here after the body tag so that it's loaded last. Okay. Oh, sorry, my bad. Here you change, let's add a source like this, and then we'll go JS because that's the folder, then bootstrap.min.js because that's the name of that file. So we're not including the map files, no, just the CSS and js.js files. So once you have this, things should work fine. And the way you can know is, let's put an h1 tag here and say something like my website. Okay, and if things didn't go well, let me just put ones here to make sure that these files are not found and not loaded, so that we see a difference. So if I refresh, this is how your text will look like. But if things are working well, let me undo that, remove that. The font should change, and if the font changes like that, then we know Bootstrap is working and everything is fine. So we are ready to begin now coding, so let's get started. So the way Bootstrap works is it's got what is known as a grid system. So every section, every screen or every container, let me put it that way, every container is divided into 12 parts. So that's how the Bootstrap classes work. So you'll find a class has a -1 up to 12 number. So all that means is that if, let's say, somebody puts a class name with 12 at the end, you're going to see that very soon. It means you're telling Bootstrap to cover the entire space that's available. If you put a number like 4, then just divide it. Just imagine every container is divided into 12 parts, and 4 will be the number of parts that you want that thing to cover. So we're going to see that in detail just now. So what I want to do, that's really the most important part of Bootstrap there to remember. So let's start with the navigation here. So in order to make this navigation, we don't have to start from scratch. What we'll do is we'll go to the Bootstrap website, and then there's always some content already given here, which is awesome. So in this case, if we click on the docs and then go to, there's forms there, there's components here, and then we can go to navbar right there. So I think I already have a navigation, this one here, that's already open, so I don't have to wait for my lousy internet. So navbar, click on there, and then you will see examples of navigation bars like this one here, and the code is right down here. So this makes things easy, so we can just easily copy and paste, then modify what we want to change. So here I'm looking for a navbar that is dark in color, and this is this one right here. So this one is the one. So now it doesn't have all the code here. It just shows me the classes to add to make the navigation dark. Okay, so these are the classes to add there. So what I'll do is I'll get the one with the full code, which is right at the top, and then just change those classes to change its appearance. So I'm going to scroll up again, right on this one, and then I'll copy to the clipboard, or you can easily just select the text and copy. So from there, what we would do is we'll remove this. So we are in the body tag here, but I want to put a main tag here, like this. Okay, so inside main, I want to paste my navigation, like so. So paste what I copied, and then I will select everything, use my tab key to move everything inside, like so. Okay, very good. So as we go, we have to keep responsive design in mind, so that's what we're going to do here. So the nav bar is added. So if now I go to back to my my site here and right click, this is what I see now. So very good, that's nice, but we want the dark version. So what we'll do is nav bar, let's go down to where it says dark. Where is that? So these are the classes right at the top. So I'm going to copy these class names. So copy that and come back here. So these are the classes we are replacing from there. So I'm just going to paste them here just to make a comparison which one we are removing. So BG light, BG dark, navbar, navbar. Okay, so I'm removing this one. I'm leaving this navbar expand large because I'll explain why we need that. So the rest of this is fine. So this is what we have now. So this is for responsive design. So there's large, which is LG, there's SM, which is small, and then there's MD, which is medium. So these are breakpoints in they are called breakpoints. So when the screen size reduces to a specific level, so as you can see now it has changed. So if I click here and go to responsive design mode here, I can move the screen here to see how the menu responds on different screen sizes. So as you can see, as I zoom, scroll, reduce the size here, it disappears at some point. Then this is where it becomes a drop down like this. So if the drop down doesn't work, it means your JavaScript file wasn't included properly. So just make sure you include the JS properly there. So as you can see, at some point right here, I think it's, I don't know, 1000 something, you can see the resolution here. It has a breakpoint. So these are breakpoints here. That's the LG breakpoint. So large means from this point onwards, that's large. So we want the menu expanded. This is what we are saying. We want the navbar expanded at large screen sizes. Okay, but smaller screen sizes, we want it to contract so that we have a drop down. So that's what this part, this class does. The rest of this is just to background dark. This one is to make sure the text is white because now the background is dark. Otherwise we can't see any text. So that's what those do. So we have navbar there, and instead let's change this to sound wave, like so, as we have in our original system there. And then we have a drop down here, which is rather nice. But what I want to do is remove this and then instead move the content to the other side. So what I can do is just go down here. So just scroll to where the form is. It's right there. We can delete that form. So if we come back and see that, you see the form is gone. But how do we move this text to the other side? Well, there are classes that do that. So let's look at this div, which is containing, because if you look closely here, this div is the one that's containing all the links. There's a home link, home page, another link here, and a drop down, and a disabled link here. So these are the items that are here. So there's this container, excuse me, that has all of them. So let's look at that. If there's a class that does move them to the other side, but it isn't. So the next one is this one, unordered list, because this is what contains the list items in here. So there's this one that says ME auto. What this means is that margin end should be auto. So what this means is that, and by the way, you see this M means margin, the B means bottom. So there's margin top, margin bottom, okay, MB like that. That's what those mean. Margin bottom, margin top. Then ME is end, margin end, which is the right side. Margin S is the start, which is the left side. So that's what these means. And then we have padding, which has the same thing. Padding bottom, padding top, padding end, padding start. So that's what these classes mean when you see them. So here we have margin end auto. So margin end is the right side. So what class we've added is one that selects this right side and makes it auto in terms of margin. So if you put a margin of auto on one side, it will leave as much gap as it needs and move everything this way. But we can reverse that by putting the margin on the left side, which will push everything to the other side. So I must mention here that it's a good idea to learn a CSS from scratch so that you know what these classes are doing internally. That's a good thing. So even with knowledge on Bootstrap, try to learn ordinary hardcore CSS, the basics. That's important. So let's change this to MS there. So refresh, and there we go. So things are going this way. Very nice. And we haven't talked about images yet. So I have images in my original folder here that I made. So let's go images, copy. So I'm copying the folder of images. I just got these images from the internet. These are just random images, so you can get whatever you want. But I do have this WAV GIF file. So this is a GIF. So it's an image with several frames there. So it looks like this. This is going to be used for when we add the audio player. For now, we won't need it, but the rest is just ordinary stuff. So I'm just going to copy actually the whole folder from here. So I'll have this in a link in the description, so don't worry about it if you can't. You can easily just download from the link. So let me cut the images out of here so that the images are directly in the images folder there. Let me increase the view. Okay, delete that. Okay, so I have images here. I named them 01, 02, 03 just to make things easier to import. Okay, so images folder, we have images. Great. So let's see what's going on here in our original. So on our original thing, we have this icon, which is a sound wave there. So let's see if icons are actually working by going to the icons department here and see what icon we can get. So we're going to search here, and I was searching for wave, and this is the one. So it's sound wave there. So in order to add the icon, what we would do is right before the sound wave text, that's where we want to add it. We're going to add an I tag like so, and then put some classes. So the classes are BI like this, which is Bootstrap icons, and then BI dash the name of the icon. So here it's sound wave because that's the one we gave here. So if you click on this, it will show you how to use it. Of course, it will open a page where there's information on how to use it, which is this one. So that's the class right there. So I can easily just copy this and come back here and paste it. No need to actually type it. So paste like that, you see it's exactly the same thing. So I'll go back just so we can search some more. And I refresh. There you see. So now the thing is not showing, so which means something is off. We don't have the let me close the responsive view. So you see there, that means the fonts are unavailable. That's what that means. So what we would do is let's go back to our folder here, right click, open containing folder. I want to open that. So instead of having the fonts out here, we should have them in the CSS folder, because it seems that's why it can't find them. So let's cut and paste in here inside the CSS folder. Okay, so now if I refresh, you see the image is there, which means things are working fine. Very good. Okay, so let's see what else we can add here. Let's add the subtext here down there. So this is just text in a let's go down here. I will move the A tag down, or even this whole thing like this. Okay, I can just add a div here or a span, doesn't matter, and then unleash your potential. Is that what we wrote? Yeah, it is. So let's save that, come back here and refresh. There we go. So now we can put some styles here directly in there. That's why it's important to know styling directly, just in case. So here we can put font size like this. Bootstrap does have font size classes, but also let's see, let's try 13 pixels. Okay, let's come back here, refresh, and there we go. So that's much better. Okay, so let's continue adding stuff here. I'm going to add the let's change these links here to match this one. So there's home, discover, new release, top trending, genre. So the drop down is the one with genre here. So let's change that. Home, discover, new release. Let's do that. So come down here. Let's get this home page that we leave as it is. There's a link here. So let's discover. And then let's duplicate this a couple of times because there's two more. There's new release here, I know. New. Oh, let's just keep it simple. New, trending, discover, trending, new. That's the one. We don't need the disabled one because it's just for sure there. And then the drop down, let's change that to genre. And then we can add what we want here, like pop, R&B, etc. R&B, and then maybe country. All right, great. So let's come back, let's refresh, and there we go. We have that. Very nice. Now, before we go on, we have to add that image there as well. So let's add the user's image too. So what we can do is create just after the thing here, let's create a div where we can add things after the unordered list here. So what I really want is the drop down, this same drop down that has genre here. So if I'm going to use the drop down, then probably it's best to use the unordered list because a drop down like this is part of that. Okay, so I'm going to let me just move this here, duplicate it. Okay, so hi, maybe John, like that. And then right in the middle here, let me see if this is gonna work. Let's add an image. Let's look at the sources of images we have. So we have images here and we can click directly to see the images themselves. So let me try number 6 with ed there. So I'm going to say the source will be images/06.jpg, like that. Okay. Now we're going to add a few styles, direct styles. So I want a very specific width, maybe 40 pixels, and a height. Let's leave a thing there, height 40 pixels, and I want it rounded as well. So we can use some Bootstrap classes in this case. So I'll say rounded circle. This will make it a circle. Okay, so let's refresh, and there we go. So we have hi John, pop genre there, hi John. But as you can see, the menu is going into the wall here because it's siding to the right. So we can shift it over by going to right here on the unordered list drop down menu here. We can add another class here named drop down menu, but at the end we add end, is it, or start? Let's try end first. So end, like I said, is right side. We're just telling it, this is a class that does that. It shifts the order of things. So if I refresh, let's see, and now it's much more clear. So if you really want to know, here you can go back to navbar here in this situation. Wait, is it navbar or drop downs? It's drop downs. So let's go to drop downs here. So if you go down and look at all the drop downs, there are examples of drop downs here. But if you go right to the bottom here, there should be one that says left aligned drop down. This one right there. So right aligned, is it? Yes, this is the one, right aligned. So that's where you see there's this one, drop menu end. So these examples are here. So if you get lost on something, just try and get to that item and see what options you have. This is how we learn how to use Bootstrap. That's how I learned anyway. So there we go. We have that. Good. We have that as well. You can shift that over if you want as well. That's fine. So these things are working as intended. Very nice. And now let's look at the responsiveness of this. Let's go to responsive view and let's see what's going on. And if I click here now, this is what we see. That's what we see there. Very cool. Okay, good. So back to our thing here. Now I want to add, let me change this though, right there. You see there's a red thing here in the active section, whereas when something is active here, it's just white. So let's see how we can change that real quickly. Now we're going to need to add some custom CSS. So what we will do is we'll include a custom CSS file, just like we have linked to all of this. The way CSS works is that whatever you include last will override what's at the beginning. So I'm going to duplicate this, and in here I will create a file called custom.css. So that's where we'll put our custom CSS. We don't have that file yet, but we can go to CSS, right click, new file, save it as custom.css and save. Great. So now we have some CSS to deal with here. So sometimes you find that you're changing stuff in your CSS file, but it's not showing here in the page when you refresh in the browser. That's because the browser is notorious for caching things. So it will store a copy for itself to save data, but sometimes that can be frustrating. So if at any point you find that your custom CSS doesn't update when you update it, just put a question mark at the end and then type some random stuff here and then save and then refresh your page. This will make it look like it's a different file, and then the browser will be forced to reload it. So whenever that you get stuck again, just change the text that's here to some other random text and it's going to update the thing. Okay, just some tips there. So what I want is to be able to change the navigation here. So I'll add my own class here. I'll call it main nav space, like that. That way I can control something here. So I want to get main nav and target the unordered list, this one, the A tag. So when something is active, this is the active class that is used in this case. So if you notice, if I move the active class from the home section and move it to discover right there, let me come back here, you see that now discover is highlighted. So there's already a class that does that, but you just want to change its default behavior. So I'm going to undo that. And then let's target it in our custom CSS. So right here, we will just say something like my nav. So dot, because it's a class, I'll call it main nav. That's what we called it. So we want to put stuff there. But we are targeting inside the main nav, we are targeting the active class. So let's put another dot there as well. Now the reason I had to rename it and not just target the active class is because active is used pretty much everywhere in the website. So if you just do active like that, it will change all sections wherever that is used, but I want it to just change in the navigation here. So that's why I'm being very specific here. So the first thing I want to do is change the color to red like this. So let's just see if that has had any effect. So as you can see, the color has not changed because sometimes these classes, bootstrap classes, are notorious. So let's put the word important here to tell it this is important, so prioritize it. So if I refresh, now you see it's red. But if I want to put that thing underneath, now I use a pseudo thingy here called after. Let's do this. So there's active class and then after, like so. So what after is an element. There's one code before and there's one after. So it's just you put some content after the element or before, which is on top and bottom. So I can show you this by just putting some content here. I'll just say content and then I'll say hello like this. So what this should do is put the word hello after the home and then hello there. So I can put anything there, but I don't want to put hello. I just want an empty thing, and then I just want to give it a background color of red. I want to give it a height of 2 pixels, and that's pretty much it. Let's see what that will do. Okay, so it doesn't do anything at all. So let me try and change its display to block. Display block like that, because I think by default it's inline, so that's why it doesn't show. And there we go. So we have a line that we've created. Excuse me, sorry about that. And let's add a margin on top. Let's just say margin top of that element, and let's put at 5 pixels. Let's see that. And there we go. So there we go now. So if I move the active from my HTML here, let me come back to the pages right here. If I move the active class to discover, and then we will see that it will go on that one like this. Okay, so things are working out very well. Now from here, let's add this and these icons here and call it a day on the navigation. So we're going to go to input groups. So right here on forms, input groups, that's where we want. And I want to get one of these, like this one, recipient's name. I want that. So this is this one here. So I'll copy this, copy that, and come back to here. So we are inside this navbar brand right there. So within this, let's see, what can I do? Maybe let me paste it here. So these things, just do trial and error when you're first starting. As you make more of these, you're going to get used to the whole system and how things work here. Okay, so we have this and it's expanding all the way here. So to prevent it from expanding, let's put it inside a div, because this one I think has a flexbox thingy going on here. So let's put it inside another div, just so that the flexbox is acting on this div and not this one in here. That way I think it will stay in its lane. Okay, that's good. Now let me change that to, now you see here there's margin bottom 3. So it's keeping a margin on the bottom of 3. So let's try and remove that. I don't think we need it. Yeah, so it centered itself because of that. So it was leaving a margin there. Then now I want to change this and put an actual icon. So I'm going to go to the icon section and look for search and choose one of these. So I just want this search, the normal one. So I'll put an I tag here. So this is where we have example.com, but we'll replace that with an I tag and put a class bi search, like this, and back. Okay, there we go. Let's change recipient's name to search. Let's change the color of the span here. Let's see, does it have a color? Because that's what's acting like a button. So here I will change this to BG. Let's try black. Background black. That's what BG does. So if whenever you want to change the background color, just use BG dash and then use the other colors that are used in Bootstrap. There's primary, secondary, warning, danger, and then black, dark. Yeah, you can check that list in the docs. So there we go. And then if you want the text to become white, just text dash white. And the same way, if you want to change the text color, you can change it to white, primary, secondary, the same colors. There's a limited number of colors in Bootstrap. You can check what those colors are by just going down here. Let's see. It should be, where is this? There we go. So if you click on colors, it will show you what colors Bootstrap comes with. So those colors you can add after BG or after text to create what you want. So the internet is slow. We'll get back to it. Okay, there we go. So we have primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, info. So these are the colors here, dark, black, exactly. So you can use those as you please. So if I refresh now, the color is white. That's nice. You can remove the border if you want. So to remove a border, you just put border like this, and then dash the 0. And then if you put 1, it's a thin border, you put 2. I think it goes up to 5, but if you put 0, then you want to remove the border. So refresh and the border is gone. Good. Now let's put these icons here. So what I will do is I'm going to add another thingy here, another div. Let's put some I tags in here, and let's put classes. Now I already know the classes for these and they're very straightforward. There's Facebook, there's Instagram and Twitter, so they're pretty straightforward. And Instagram, like so. And let's come back and refresh. Okay, so I don't see those babies anywhere. Maybe the color, because if I Control A to select, maybe I can see better. It doesn't look like anything. Okay, so let's put a class here and say text white, just so we can try to see them in case they are there. Oh, so there they are. Good. So there's Facebook. So Twitter, I'm missing an R there. Sorry. There we go. Very good. Now also, if you want, instead of putting an h1 tag or h2, you can actually put a class h1, which will get the properties of an h1 tag. So in this case, the text will become big. And then since these are icons, text icons, to increase their size, you just change the font size. So like this, you see there, we have that. So maybe let's go for an h3 to reduce the font size. No, that's still too big. Let's go for maybe h5. I think h5 is the maximum. Yeah, so it's up to you. You can put h4, h5, that's up to you. And then let's put some margin. So we want to leave some spaces between each one of these. So what we can do is, since this is a div, we can move the whole div over like this by putting some margin. So we can say M and then put a margin like 2, like this. But this will put a margin around this whole thing. So you can specify whether it's top or bottom, or if you want, you can say MY, which will mean top and bottom in the y-axis, or MX, which will mean left and right. So let's try the MX like this. Okay, so we are keeping our distance there, so we can increase that to 3 or something like that. So you can, yes, you can do that as you please. Then also keep in mind that you have to put A tags because these are going to be links. And because when you put A tags here, it changes some properties because A tags have different properties. For example, the text color is blue for A tags. So that should change how things look. So let me put A tags. So I'm just wrapping these guys inside A tags like so, even though the links don't lead anywhere. And as you can see, now if you look closely, you see there's a dash there. That's because now links have dashes. So I can show you this a bit more if I put it on the sound wave here. Put an A tag there, say href is equal to, and then close the link. If I come back, you will see that there will be a dash there, like underline. So we don't want that, and we'll change this back, but let's go and fix it in the custom CSS. So here we're just going to tell the body, the whole body CSS to say text decoration to be set to none. But we have to be very specific that we're talking about A tags. So every A tag in the body should have none of that. So if we do that and refresh, the dashes are gone. So here I can undo what I did here to create an A tag so that things go back to normal. Okay, there we go. So now let's look at the responsiveness of this, just to be sure. Before we go further, it's a good idea to make sure things are responsive before you proceed. If everything is good, then we can proceed. Now there's a problem here because it goes all the way down to this. I don't like that. So what I normally do is I limit my viewport to 350 pixels for mobile devices. I find that number to work pretty well. So it's up to you what you can do, what you want to do. But what I'll do is I have this main thing here. I want everything. Usually I add that to the body. So let me try that. But it doesn't seem to work well. So I'll say the minimum width this can go is 350 pixels. I usually add that to the body tag. So refresh. But for some reason, oh, actually it worked. Look at that. So it doesn't go all the way in anymore. Once it reaches 350 pixels, it creates a what's this? A scroll bar here, which is nice. So I find that to work better from real-world testing. Okay, so let's go and continue. So now this whole thing is done. We can put a shadow on the navigation here by just putting a class named shadow. So shadow has several stages. So here, if I refresh, you'll see there's a slide shadow there. There's slide shadow small and shadow large. I think maybe there's medium. I don't know. I never use those, but you can do that as well. Okay, great. Test those and see what happens. So we are done with this. Let's go now to the hero section here, which is this area down here. So this is really just an image with a minimum height. So we're going to put a div that will contain a background image here, and then we can put the content in here. So I bet you already know what we will do for these to make them look like that, because that's the same thing we did for there. Okay, but let's see how this thing works here. Let's put the image first. So if I go to my images here, I want to see which image I will use for this, and it's this one, number 14. This is not really an image viewer. So number 14 it is. So what I would do is, let me close these gaps here. Now it is also a good idea when you're making these templates, because they could be used by other people. It's a good idea to put comments here. So you say, like here you say, so that's the angle brace bracket exclamation mark double dashes, and then you say end navigation, something like this, and then open it up like this. Okay, so end navigation there, and then you can go at the top here and put start navigation. So putting comments is a good way to help people who want to use your template know what's what, because it can get very confusing. So start main area, okay, and then you can copy that to the end main area here and change that to end main area. That way you are a bit neater. Okay, so from here we put our hero section. So I'll paste that here and paste that there. And this is called the hero area because why is it called the hero area anyway? Because that's the main section. That's what people see usually when they come into your website. So it must be attractive. So it's the hero. All right, so we have a div here and I want to give it a class name so I can monitor it. So I'll just say hero area like that. So that's the class name I give it. So I'm going to go to my custom CSS and right here I will paste dot hero area and let's do something. So we're going to put a background image here, background image. We'll put a URL and then quotes, of course. So images, we know it's number 14.jpg like that. So that's the image we want here. Now we can't see anything because the hero area has no height. So let's give it a minimum height. That way, at least regardless what happens, it has a minimum height. We don't want to put a fixed height because when there's too much content, when you're resizing the screen size, the content becomes too much to fit in there, so it has to enlarge the height. So we want it to be free to go higher, but we don't want it to go lower than, let's say, maybe 500 pixels. That's up to you. You can do some testing and see what happens there. So now I still don't see anything. Your area, let's see, background image, your images 14.jpg. Yeah, this should work, but it doesn't seem to be working. And class hero area. Okay, so sometimes the CSS could be malfunctioning, like I had said earlier. So you can try that by just putting this directly in a style tag like so, because there it must obey, and you see it's doing that. So since it worked here, it means the CSS file is just being cached. So it was cached. So let's go up here and test our method by doing a question mark, put some random stuff there, and let's see it refresh itself. Oops, so I guess that's not the problem because that didn't work either. So what is going on here? Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, my bad. So this is based on reference to the CSS file. So the CSS file is in the CSS folder. So we have to go outside this folder and into the images folder. So sorry about that. This is not here. It worked because, let me remove that actually. Here it worked because we are referencing things from the index.html page, and from the index page we have to go into the images folder. But the CSS file, the custom file, is inside another folder, CSS. So we have to move out and into that images folder. So to move out a folder, you say .. So we go in the main folder, then we go to images. So it should work this time. And there we go. Okay, cool. So things are working out fine. Now, if the image is not showing as you need, you can resize it right here. So here we can say background size. Okay. Or you can change, you can add background position. You can change the position using percentages. So if let's say the left side is, this is X and Y. So if I say I wanted to move 50% in the left side and 50% in the Y, so this XY axis. So you can put it like this. This will move where the position of the image is, as you can see here. I have moved it. So you can use these to move until you find what you want. But what I really want is to say background size. You can also change the size, by the way, so that's what we're doing. I want it 100%, so you can use the same method, 100% in the X or the Y. If you just put one number, then it will be used by both X and Y. So this 100, we can abbreviate it to just 100 like this. And so if I refresh, this is what I get. See, and maybe the background size is not necessary, so let me disturb it for a second there, and there we go. But I think it is, especially maybe in the Y. So the X, not so much. Maybe let's put 20% and then 30% there. Let's see where we get with that. So you can really position things as you wish. Let's see here. Oh, that was much further, but this is fine. Okay, so we have that. Good. So we've put a background image. So this is just the background image, meaning the content, the div itself is still empty. There's nothing. This is just the background image. So which means we can put some content here. So at this point, we're going to go to navs and tabs on the Bootstrap website. So components, navs and tabs. So these are the navs and tabs that we want. Now these navigations have where, let's see, I think this one is actually best because it's nice and clean, so we can get this one. But I want one where, because some of these have this, you see, we don't want that styling, or this, we don't want that. So some of them are pews like this, so you can go this way, click on that. But what I want is one that that actually has active, where is this? Where if I click on another one, like, wait a minute, I want you to move. Oh no, I can't find it. I cannot find it. So I want one where the content actually changes when I click. So that's what I'm looking for here, but it seems I'm way in over my head. I can't find, oh, there we go, right down here. Okay, very good. So fade effect, before that, there's usage attributes. Wait a minute. Wait, this has gone too far. Give me a second here, sorry about this. Okay, so down here, this is where there's a div down here with tab content. So those are the ones I'm looking for, like this one, where if I click, you'll see the content change here. So click, the content is different, click. This is really what I want. So here I can get these guys, the whole thing, just copy that. So this is one where things are changing, copy. And then I'm going to come to my HTML right in this div hero area. I will paste that information. So back, let's give it a tab, a few tabs. Oops. Okay, like so. All right. So now this nav pews is what makes it look like a pew. Let's see, refresh. And this is what we get. You see, home. This one is disabled, we don't need it. So this round pew thing, now if I remove the nav pews here like that, oh, there we go. Right. So instead of nav pews here, we can get a different version. So let's go up here to the clean version, which is this one. It's just written nav, right? Yeah, actually. So why didn't nav just work? Class nav. Interesting. Anyway, regardless, let me let's see. There should be a different one here, different version. Nav. No, it's just nav, actually. Interesting. Ah, nav tabs. Oh, so the tabs are these ones. Okay. And the other ones are pews, nav pew, nav tab. But what about these guys? It's just nav. but it doesn't seem to be working well for me. So I don't like the tabs, I like the pews instead, so I will accept the pews for now. Now what I want is to move this hero area inward a little bit because it's too much to the corner here. So what we can do is put a margin around it. So I can just say margin, maybe 4. Let's try that. So if I refresh, this is what I get. Now the problem is I've put the margin on the whole div, which is the main div here. So let me put the margin on the navigation. Let's move that here and refresh. Much better. But then also we have this problem here. I guess because there's no content in here, that's what happens. Because if I put some content there, this should disappear, I'm assuming. There we go, it does disappear for some reason. Okay, so what I want to do here is, now you see we have the links here, and then we have the divs that contain the content that shows depending on which one you click. So we don't need the disabled last one, so I'm going to remove this one and remove the div corresponding to it as well. Then let me put just a number here, 1, to show that there's changing going on, 2, and then 3. And then also I want the text to be white, so I'll do text white because everything else is so black. So let's refresh. So there's 1 when I click, 2, and then 3 there. Okay, now let's get rid of this top part here. So I think a padding, let's try just some padding to the top here. So I'm going to go to, oops, what's going on here? Okay, so hero area here. So I'm just going to put padding and say padding maybe 2, something like that. Padding top, actually. Let's just specify that on the top. Okay, that helps us. Okay, so when I click here and click there, you see that the number is changing. So that's 2, 1, and then that. So there's you can see that the content is changing. So all we need to do is put the content in the appropriate div, and then we have it there. So let's see what we wrote here. Featured, trending, release. So let's change those tabs here. Let's move all the way here. You can remove these area controls, area selected. These are for accessibility, but don't remove the other, these data BS, data and type and raw. These can go though, but they're different. Anyway, let's just leave them for now. So I've even forgotten what I was about to type. So featured, trending, release. So featured, trending, oops, I've edited something wrong here. Featured, trending, and then new releases. Okay, good. So refresh, there we go. So let's get rid of these pews here. We make it look like that. So what we're going to do is here, I want to, this is, I'll call it hero nav. So it's a nav for hero. So I've added a new class there so that I can actually target it in the custom CSS. The same thing I did here. So I'm going to duplicate this part here and then change main nav to hero nav like this, and this should do the job. So let me refresh, and as you can see, it's working, but there's still this background color, so we can remove it. Color red, but then background color, let's put it as transparent and just tell it that this is important, just so in case it wanted to be stubborn. Okay, so there we go. So we have changed to that. Very good. And then we can change the text to white as well for the text white here. What's happening? Why are the buttons this color? There are links here, right? Are there? No, it's the button itself. So since this is a button here, we can actually add, let me try to add some color here. Let's see. If I say button warning, let's see what happens. Oh, it doesn't change anything. How about text warning? Okay, so that does work. So if you want to change the colors here, you can change by adding in there text white, like so. There we go. So let me copy that text white and put it on all the buttons, and this one as well, like that. Okay, except the one with active. So that's how you can change the colors there if you want. It's up to you. And now let's put some content in here. So the content we are putting is these guys here. Okay, so this one, the way things work is this is just a div like this, and then there are smaller divs inside, 1, 2, and then a third div here. And I use Flexbox to get this kind of thing here, to make them in one row like this, and then we'll put some images there. So let's see how we can get this to work. So let me start with the first div here. So there we go, div number 1. So this is going to be like one unit of the song list. So let me put some, I say a song item. Maybe we can call this one small song item. I don't know. Be creative with your names here so that it's easy to remember where one thing starts and another thing ends. So this one I want to add some classes, of course, and also I want to add some styles. So let me add, maybe I won't need this. What I want to do though is add 3 divs. So div number 1, div number 2, number 3. Okay, like I had said. And then add some classes here. Now each one of these will have a class of column because I want them to be in a column format, and this one will have a class of row, because if I don't put that, these columns don't work. Columns must be inside a row always. So once I put row like this, but let me show you before I do that. Let me just put 01 here, and I want a class of h1 for this one, or maybe h3, so that the text is large. And then here I want just put some text, and then here I'll put a number like 05 to show that there's time there, right? So let's come back and refresh, and this is what we get, you know, something like this. Great. But if I put row like this here, you see that, then this becomes one row, so it's regarded as a single row. And as you can see, there's one item here, one item there, and another one here. Then I'm going to put a background color just to show where this thing ends. So I'm going to put color of let's try secondary. This is just a color to show what's going on, and there we go. So this is what we have, but I want it to be only halfway through this page. So this is where I can put a column here and call it call, and tell it how much of those columns we talked about to fill. So they could be 12, which means fill the whole space, but 6 means fill only half the space. So if I now refresh, you see that it goes to the half point. Now if we are doing the responsive design view and I squeeze in, you see that it maintains the half. It's always half of the full screen like this. But this is not good because when we have a small screen like this, the content won't fit and this is wasted. So we want it to zoom out here at some point in the middle. So what we'll do is we'll put MD dash like this. So meaning up to the medium point, fill with 6, but after that, below that, just fill the whole space. So there it goes like this. So from here, when it gets to the middle, the MD breakpoint, you'll see it, bump, then it goes to there, okay? So you can put this where you want. You can put it at large, small, and it will depend. So you can go to LG, which is large here. So you see the difference here. If I do this, it will still fill until a very large space like that. So it really depends what you want. I think the MD works fine. Okay, so there we go. We are refreshing. And from here, now I want to add some margin to this very item. So I'm going to say margin, just the margin 1, maybe 1, in case I put 2 of these. And then I can put a margin at the beginning, like margin start, that is slightly bigger, maybe 4, so that it's not so close to the something like this. Okay, so we are good at this point. Now this content is up here. I want it centered everywhere. So what I'll do is I'm just going to say in this div, I'll say justify or align items center. So what align item center does is it aligns the items vertically like this. So now they are aligned properly. Now let's add some images, shall we? Let's add an image. So I want one of these artists. Let's try this handsome dude here, 05 JPEG. So on this one, right here where we put some text, I want, this would be a weird div here, because within this div, I'll have an image. So let me put an image there. So this one is in images /05.jpg. Then, now if I just put this image, it's going to be too big, because as you will see, this is what I get. So instead, I want to put a style and give it very specific dimensions. So I'm going to say width 50 pixels, height 50 pixels. Now this is not a square image, or is it? Probably is. Yeah, it's a square image. Let's try an image that isn't a square so that we can see what's going on better here. Let me try this one. This one is clearly not a square, so number 4 it is. Let's try Miss Swift here. And I'm going to come back here, refresh. So you see the image is squashed in order to fit 50 by 50. But we can sort this problem out by adding object fit and tell it to fit in a cover format. So it will cover the area. So it's going to crop the image nicely to make sure it's square. And there we go. So that's how we fit that. Now in here, these are equal side columns. You see there's this, that, and that. And also the background color is not the correct one. So here I want to get this background color that's right here. So what I'll do is this color is this one here. So I'll right click. In case you're copying from a different website, this is how you do copy colors. You right click, inspect that element. You will probably see background color if you move enough. Let's see this color on this div here. I think it's on the body. It's on the body, right? Let me click here. Yeah, that's the color, I think. So let me copy this color. Copy that. Boom. Okay. And let me come back here and put that background color on this one. So this one will be a style. So because there'll be many of these, what I want to do is add a class called song small. Then let's add it here. So dot song small, and then put background color, and let's put that one. Okay, good. So refresh. Now it's not showing because we are overriding that with our own background color here, which is BG secondary. So let's remove that stubborn color there, and let's try again. And there we go. So we have that. Is that the color though? Yeah, it actually kind of seems sorta like the color, but not so good. So what I can do is I can right click, inspect the element. If I don't like the color, then select the same div, this background color here. Then I can move this around to get the color that I want, like this one. Then copy that and put it in my CSS directly, like so. Okay, and let us save. Okay, cool. Now these are elements with equal spaces. You see the spaces are equal, but they shouldn't be. So what I'll do is come back here. I want to, this is some text, but let's say a song description. Then we need the song title itself. So what I want here, I want these to be two things. So I'll add a div here like this and close that. So a div here again like this, so that I can put title. Something like this, and then put small like this. Okay, so just to spice things up here. Okay, so that we have a title, we have a small description, and the description here I can put a class of text muted. That's another color, muted, so that it's slightly muted if you like that, but I don't think it makes it look any better. Now these guys are up and down because the div covers full width and this is on the top, so that's not what we want. We want them to be side by side. So in order to do that, I'll say display flex, and flex puts everything in side by side, as you can see here. And also I can put a class here on this one, but since let's put a class here, right? I will say margin start, and let's put 1, so that there's just slight margin between the two here, not so close like that. Okay, and then this my heart will go on instead of a wait, let me try and put a, if I put a break tag there'll be too much space, so I just want this to go all the way here. So what I can do is put a div here instead, because what's happening right now is the description starts from here, a song description, and I don't like that. So now at least they're on two separate lines, but I want this to occupy more space than this one and this one. This one should be small. So like I said, in Bootstrap there are 12 columns, so even in here there are 12 columns, so we can tell it that we want this one to occupy 3, this one to occupy 3, and this one to occupy the rest. So if there's 3, that's 6, minus 12, that's is it 8? No, it's not even 8, it's what, 6 I think, yes. So what we can do is, you see these columns here, we can say column 3 here to give it a 3, and then another here for the time, column 3. Now you can leave this at column because then it can occupy whatever is remaining without putting a number here. If you, then this will always get whatever remains from 3 there. So this will be twice as big as the others. So there we go. This is still too big. So let's move this to 1 actually, and let's move this to 2. So let's see what we get there. There we go. So much better. And now if you look at this, this is not really, it looks faded here, goes down here. So let's try and fix that. Also the thing is rounded here slightly, rounded corners, the image. So what we can do on the image is let's put a few classes here. So that image, let's put one rounded, and then let's put, you can put some margins as well, margin 1 like that, all round for the image, which will enlarge the whole thing. Okay, so much better. And then for the look of the gradient here, what we can do is let's get the background color for this song small. Let me copy this color right there. And then if you go on the internet and search for cssgradient.io, you open this website, which gives you a chance to create gradients. So I can click here in the center on this color. This is the color. Let me put that color there. Okay, so that's my color. Then if I go here, this color, I want to move it to black. So I'll move this here. And then, wait a minute, is this the color? Or did it go to this one? Wait. No, it's this one really. So I'm going to click here to add another item. Boom, and then push it all the way here. And then here on the last one, I just want a pure black. Move it black. Here on this side, I want it transparent, so I can move this to transparency, absolute transparency. So the gradient I'm creating, you can see it from here. It will look something like this. As I move this, you see that move over there. So once you're done with this, you can just copy the code. I just want, copy both of these, add background color plus this, but I just want this one with linear gradient for now. And right here, background color, and I'll paste both. Oops, I guess I copied too much. Yeah, even the stuff below here was copied. You can click copy to clipboard, but it will copy that one as well, which I don't need. So there we go. So this one, linear gradient always overrides this, but you need to keep that so that in case the device they're using doesn't support this, it will fall back to that. Okay, great. So if you do that and refresh, this is what you see. So it's looking more like that. And now I want to put an icon here for the play thing, and then that should be done. Actually, the text is muted on this one. It is. So let me put an icon. It's a play icon. So right here after this, I just put an I tag and then class bi play, and that's it. There we go. So we have that icon there. But now if I hover on this, you see this is what happens, right? So how do we create something like this? So we use custom CSS to create. This is known as a transition. So what it's doing is when I hover on it, it's adding a border, a thin border, and then moving the item upward like this by 10 pixels. So let's quickly make that happen. So what I'll do is I'll go to the custom CSS. Since this is known as small, song small, we can add transition here. I'll tell it that you can do a transition on all items that are transitionable, and I want the transition to take 0.3 seconds, and I want an ease out or ease in. You can put ease in, I think, or ease out, but I'll put ease on both sides. And then I want to put one where there's a hover, so I'll do this, and I'll put a full colon and say hover like that. So when I hover, whatever I put here, that's what will happen. So first of all, let's add a border. We'll call it solid line, thin, and then thin is like 1 pixel, and the color I'll add gray. So let's see that in action. So if I now refresh, that happens. You see that? Let's change the cursor as well to a pointer. And then let's do the movement. So the movement would say transform, and then let's do a translate in the y-axis of -10 pixels. So minus is going up positive is going down. So let's refresh, and there we go. So it moves like that, and because of the transition, it's smooth. So if I were to remove this transition thingy here, this hover will still work. The only problem is it won't be smooth. You see, it will just move instantaneously like that, but with the transition it makes the whole thing smooth. Okay, very good. So now we have a song here that's working. If I click on this, you see it disappears. So let's just copy these guys, maybe 4 or 5 of them. So we know a song starts from there. So let's do this and duplicate that. So Ctrl+Shift+D for those using Sublime Text. I'll duplicate to 4 of them like this. Actually, maybe we don't need 4, just 3 should be enough. And let me change the numbers. On the second one, I'll put number 2 and then number 3, and then change the title. We'll just say another song, and let's put my confessions here. Let's change the images as well. I'll put number 5 here since there was number 4 there, and maybe number 6 here. Oops, I've opened something else. All right, so back here and let's refresh, and there we go. So there we go, looking great. So you can leave the amount of gap that you want to space using the border here. Where is this? Margin. Where did I put the margin? Oopsie daisy. Oh, it's margin 1. So you can put margin 2 on these to leave more space if you want. Okay, great. Also, you can create another class for the image here and then move those styles to the CSS file here instead of keeping them here. So that's one more thing you can do. So I can do that by going, you see there's a class here for rounded M. Let me copy that because that's all for the image, and add song small dash img. So I've created that class, song small img. Copy that, let's put it here, dot. Okay, so that now I can get all this from there, cut it, or undo copy instead. Let me paste it there. Then when I come back here, I can select it from here and remove it so that we have less of this content in the main page. So let's refresh. Everything still looks good. So to copy these two different songs to there, all we have to do is copy. Let's copy this whole thing. There's a pen here in the, this is the tab pen here. If I copy all of this, let me start from here like so, and copy all of that to this point, copy. Then I can go to div number 2 here. This is the second div, and paste, and then do the same on the third one like that, paste. Okay, so let me move these to match. Oopsie daisy. Okay, so I've just copied to the other divs so that when I click on this, I still find something. But let's change the numbers so that we know the content is different. This one should be 0908, oops, 08, 07, 06, 05, and 04. So you can change the content as you please, but it's redundant because we already know it works. You see the numbers are different there. You can even change the images here by just changing the image name to match 8, maybe 9, maybe 10 on this image. I don't know, so that we add different images. There we go. So the images here are very different. We can add different images there. So it's working. That's the bottom line. So we are done with this. Now we want to come to this section where there is music down here, and then finally the footer. Alright, so first thing we'll do is we need to change this white background to this one right here. So let me copy this, right click, copy the color, inspect the element, and click on the div that actually contains the background color. I think it's the body, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, because yes, it's probably the body. So I'm going to copy that from the body, and let's add it here. So let's come back to the body here. Now we can move all this to the custom CSS as well, because we have body here. Let me add another one here and say background color. Let's add that, and then let's add min width 350 pixels. That way I can remove this right here. All right, great. And let me save this one. Good. So let's see what that does, and refresh, and there we go. So we have that color. I'll need to squeeze this in a little bit. So I'm going to go to I had added a minimum height for the hero thing here, hero area, which is here. So minimum height, let me reduce it to 400 pixels. Let's refresh. Okay, much better. So in order to add these guys, these are not difficult. This one is just a div to contain everything, and then there's an image here, and then 2 lines of text. So one is muted. So let's see how we can do that. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to the HTML here, and let's start with this one will be start hero area. Is that? This should be end hero area, right? Yes. Okay. So right here, I'll say start categories or category area. So of course what you name this is up to you. This one is end. What am I typing? Okay, there we go. So let's add a div that will contain, in fact, let's call this a section. It's better to, it's more professional, I guess, to use sections like this. So section here, obviously we'll need some classes here, and the first class I want is display flex, but let's see what that does first. So I'm going to add a div. So this would be like one card. Okay, so song card start there, and song card end right here. All right, so let's add an image in there. So I'm going to put an image, and on this one I'll go to images/05.jpg, and let's add some classes. Maybe actually we can add some styles. Let's add style and a few classes as well. So there's img fluid, which makes the image fit to the width of its current location. So let's see how this will look like. So refresh, and there we go. So this is what we have for now. So that's not looking too hot. what I want is to add some styles to this div and say width 200 pixels, height as well 200 pixels, and what else? That should do. Same here on the image. I want it to have the same width. Actually, I just care about the width here for now. So I'll copy the width and height into here. Then here I don't care about the height because the text could be more than we can handle. So let's leave it there. And then a class for image would be rounded to have slightly rounded corners. And then I'm going to add a div for my content. So another div in there, and this one for the title. I'll call this one, I'll add a class of lead, and this is for the song title. Let's use the small for the song description, or maybe it's the genre, I don't know. Let's add a class of text muted. All right, something like this. Let's see what we have. Okay, much better. The text must be white, so lead, let me try here, text white. Okay, much better. Now let's give it some margin, the whole thing. So the div will have a class, margin, let's try 2. Okay, not so much, but that's fine, that's good enough. This one though, we can have padding here to give some space between the war and the items. So there we go. And then the image as well, let's add object fit cover. That way it's not stretched. Okay, there we go. So if we look here, this is kind of similar with what we have, but this is more centered. So let's add more padding to this section. So this section, let's put padding. What do we do here? I can put mx 5, so margin 5 on the x-axis. That's left and right. Okay, that did help. And then I want to put a title, which is here. This title there. Okay, so this is an h5 tag. So I will put h5 here, and then I don't know, let's put some title like rock music. Refresh, there we go. So let's look at the text color. I'm going to inspect this one. It's an h5 tag, and that's the color, so copy that. Let's put some classes as well. So px4, just like this, so that or maybe let's put mx4 like that, or 5 to match. Oh wait, this is inside this, so that might not be such a good idea. Let's see how well that does. But we need the color. So what I'm going to do is create a class here. I'll say song category title. That's our class. So I will put it down here. but let me put background color or color there so that when I copy I don't lose it. Class, let me move this in, and this is for color. Okay. Oh, what's going on? Song category title. Oh, I didn't save this. Okay, there we go. At least we have that now. Cool. But we have this line down here. Now this line is exactly like the others. So I'm going to copy this, and this part here, active after. So I'm going to copy what's in here. Duplicate this and put after, like so. And then I'm going to paste in there, but the background color should be not red, but this one. And then the height 1 pixel, let's make it smaller. Maybe the margin, I don't know, let's check and see what happens. Okay, very good. It goes like this. Margin top, let's make it bigger and see. Okay, much better. And then I don't want this to go all the way up to the end, so here I can give it a width of 50%. Let's see that. Okay, much better. Then of course I can get this color and go to my trusty gradient and create a new gradient here. So this one, I can actually close some of these. Let's see, cancel that. So this one, I want that to be the color, the main color. So enter, that's the color. Then this way, I'll just make this one transparent. Let me shift this a bit here. So this is what I get. This side also can be transparent. And then I can get this now. Copy. Come back to here and paste. Oops. Same problem again like last time. Selected too many things. Copy. Paste. Okay. Now from that gradient, if I now refresh, this is what I get, which is similar to that. All right. So that's one thing there. Let's see anything else about the titles. Let's increase the margin on these guys. Let's see, it's a section. This one should have more margin. Let's put, oh wait, that's the wrong place. What I want is the margin on this to change. Let's put it at 5 or maybe 4. All right, so there we go. Now I just need to duplicate these guys. But before I do that, there's a hover effect on this, right? When I hover on this, it gets darker and shows that. So let's quickly do that. So what I'll do is I want to cover the image area with a div that is darker, and then it will only show when I hover on it. So to do that, I will go to, this is where the image is. So I want to put that thing right below the image. So I'm going to have a div like this, but within this div I will put an I tag, so I can put the play icon there. So I'll put an H1 tag to make it bigger. bi play, like so. Okay, refresh. So there it is. And this is possible, it's possible that this could be a link actually. So what I'll do is, wait a second, I'll put an A tag here. So cover this in an A tag because most likely the users will be clicking this to go to the song view. So that changes the play button to a blue thing. But I want this to move and cover this instead. So the thing that what I would do is, this is gonna be interesting. So I need this to be in a container so that so that it can cover that container. So what I will do is put the image in a div. Let's move this out. So both the image and this are inside a div. The image and this play hover effect. So let's see that nothing has changed here, which is good. So the reason I need this div is because I want to add a style here of position relative, because otherwise, let me remove that for a second so that you see why I need it. So I'm going to get this div here and make it cover that place. So I'm going to add some styles here. The first thing is I'll add position absolute. Absolute is required so that I can move it to a specific place, which means over another element. So once I do that, let me add some background color of black. So 000000, that's black. But I want to add some transparency, so I'll put BB. Okay. So B is 11, 11, 11. So it's 0. The colors are 0 to F. Once you reach 9, you go to A, B, C, D up to F. So transparency close F is, I think that's total opacity. 0 is total transparency. So B is closer to F than it is to 0. So let's see what that looks like. So as you can see, it's right here. Because of the position absolute, it's over other items, but I want it to start from here, 0, 0 on the left, top left, and then 200 pixels to cover this area here. So to do that, I'll say left 0 pixel, and then same with top 0 pixels, and then give it a width of 200 pixels and give it a height of 200 pixels. So let's see how that fares. Now, as you can see, you can't see it here because it has actually moved to the top there. So it's the top 0 pixel is relative to the whole document. So this is why I needed it to be inside a container and then use position relative, because then it can stay relative to this. So if I remove this and say position relative, the top 0 pixel will be relative to this div. So instead of the whole document. So if I refresh, then it will cover this part like that. Okay, pretty good. Now I want to move this play button to the center. So how I do that is on the play button itself, I'm going to add some styles. Now I will move these styles to the custom CSS later, but it's better to work from here. So I'm going to say I need to move that thing, so I will say not the width but the left 50%, top 50%, but these things like left and top only work if the position is changed to absolute, otherwise they don't. So refresh and you see it goes to the center, but it's not right at the center. It's the top left corner is at the center, but because this is a thing like this, it has moved this way. So I have to move it 50% this way and 50% this way of itself to put it in the center. So I'll use the translate, transform, and then translate. And then in the translate, I will use minus 50%, comma, minus 50% on the X and Y. Okay, refresh, and there we go, it's in the center. So now I just need this to show when I hover on it. Otherwise, I want the opacity to be at 0. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll add styles here so I can put this in the custom CSS. So first of all, let's add a class of this one. We're going to call it big song hover. You can call it anything you want really. So big song hover, copy, let's come here. So let's move all the styles from here, cut, delete that, and let's put the styles here. So we can do this if we want to, but it's not necessary. Okay, so the hover has that. Let me save. And the image as well, we can do the same thing. We can say class. Oh, don't repeat classes here. We can say big song img. Let me copy this. And then let's cut this from there. Remove that. And paste. Great, great, great. Wait. And then finally this, we can have it, I don't know, big song play. Or what we can do, instead of having to put a class here, we can just reference it from big song hover to I. So what I can do is say big song hover. Let me duplicate this, and then let's do I like this. So it means within big song hover there's an I tag there. That's what we're targeting, which is this one. So cut this, move that, and let's paste that here. Okay, very nice. So let's make sure nothing has changed. Everything seems fine. The only thing is now I want it to be hidden. So this is the big song hover item. So I'm going to say opacity 0. That way it will be transparent like that. But even with opacity 0, this, wait, why has that changed at all? Wait. big song image, big song hover I. Yep. Okay. I didn't see that one coming. So let's try and put it at 0 and see. I don't know why this is moving this way, but let's try and hover on it. So big song hover, which is that same item. Let's put a hover effect on it by doing hover. And let's say opacity 1. So full opacity when we hover on it. And it doesn't seem to work at all. So for some reason the opacity, right, it's because of the semicolon here that's missing. That was weird. Okay, great. Now it's working. Okay, cool. So there we go. When we hover on it, it shows up. When we don't, it goes. But we want it to have a smooth transition. So as usual, we go to the main and then we put transition. And we say, or just transition everything. We want the transition to take point maybe 8 seconds and then ease in and out. So refresh and boom, there we go. Okay, so that does it for this thing here. If you don't want the links to activate, just put a hash like that to go to anywhere. That way it doesn't refresh the page, it goes to the first page. So this is how you, if you have a specific div, you can get the ID of that div and put it in here, and then when you click on that item it will take you to that particular div. But because it's just a hash, it will take you to the top of the page when you click like this. Okay, all right, so all we need now is to duplicate this a couple of times, and we know the song card starts here and ends there. So let's duplicate this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's add a few of them. So refresh. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see they're going down this way instead of going this way. So in order to make them stay in this, we'll go to the section that holds them and put deflex. So that's for display flex, and it will keep them in the same row because of that. As you can see, there we go. The only problem is they are confined to the same row. Oh, this now has included the rock music because it's inside this section. So let's move this guy outside the section like this, so we can put our own MX5 here so that they're on the same line. Let's try that. Okay, much better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're not wrapping up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's add one more, shall we? Let's duplicate one more of these so that there are more than that can fit. Let's try the last one. Duplicate one more, refresh. So as you can see, they're becoming smaller and smaller and smaller because it doesn't want to go to the next line. That's because that's how flex works. But we can add another attribute here in this style and say flex wrap. This allows it to wrap around to the next line if the items don't fit. So this is what we have here, and we want to center these items. So in the same section, I'm just going to say justify content center like this. Okay, much better. Now let's randomize the data, because this doesn't look very nice with similar data. Let's put also a padding on top here. Wait, so padding top 4 and padding there's 4 here. Let's put padding top 2 because it's too, the top side is too high here. So let's refresh. There we go, much better. Now we need different information here, so let's swap it around. So let's start with 4, 5, 6. Let's go with 7 and 8 and 9. Let's go 10. That's it. So refresh, much better. Okay, then let's change the song title as well. Some titles here. I'm just thinking of random stuff to write here. So we assume these are actual song titles. Let's see here. Okay, much better. Let's change these as well. Makes it look better when the data is random. So okay, let's see that now. Much better. Alrighty then. So this is just a duplicate down here because we have 2 sections, 1, 2. The second one is a repeat of this one. Here we had a link to view more, and making that is simple. We can come to this H tag. I'm just going to put a small so that the text is smaller, view more like this, and then I will put a class to float it to the end. So let's see that, and there we go. But I want it to be a link, so I'll put an A tag in there, close, and close that A tag. Also, I want to get an icon. This one is arrow. I think it's box arrow something. Okay. Yeah, one of these, but pointing up. It's this one, box arrow upright. So let's put that I tag, put a class, so bi box arrow up right. Okay, let's check that out, and there it is. So boom, it will go to the other side, but it's outside the A tag, so that's why the colors are slightly different. We've moved it inside the A tag. Okay, great. So if I repeat this down here, I'll have another section and just change just change the title. So I'll zoom out. It starts from here all the way up to here. That's the end of the section. So what I want to do is duplicate the whole section, and I'll start from the H5 here down to where the section ends, and Ctrl+Shift+D to duplicate. Okay, move the H5 in. You can put a comment here for title. Instead of rock, let's say country music, and let's see that. Okay, so another line here, another line there. You can put different content here. Let's try and change the images to start from 12, 13. I don't know if even some of these images exist. Okay, so they do. We go up to 14. That's where we're going. So 14. All right, so different stuff here, different stuff there, country music, rock music, and then that. Okay, we're just remaining with the footer, and we can call it a day. Also, before we go down to the footer, you can see that here the top bar doesn't move as this moves, but here it actually moves, so we have to limit it, and we will do that real quick before we finish up. That will be the last thing. So let's create our footer here. This one is quite easy to create. So down here to create footer. All right, so for the footer is still in the main area, so but that's up to you how you want to design the thing. Maybe let's put it down here. We're going to call it footer like this. All right, and let's add some classes. First of all, I want some padding all around, 4 pixels. And what I want is 3 divs in here. So div 1, 2, 3. And the reason is because we want 3 sections. This one, and this one. So as you can see, this section is twice the sizes of these. So this is column, this can be 3, 3, and then 6. So 3 columns here, 3 columns, 6 columns to make 12 total. So let's do that. So we put classes here and column dash 3, since that's the majority. You can leave this one to fill up the remaining space if you want, but let's put 6. And then in order for these columns to work, this one must be named row. Okay, good. And then let's put some content in there. So I'm going to put H5 tag and say quick links, but not everything has quick links. The other one is subscribe to our newsletter. So I'll do this one, like subscribe to our newsletter. All right, that should do it. So back here, refresh, and this is what we get. So it doesn't look like much now. That's because we don't have a color. So let's put a background color for dark here. We can put black or dark. Let's see which one looks better. This is black, but let's try with text white and see how that plays out. Okay, it's actually pretty good. Yes, even though here we used dark, not black, so maybe let's try that. So so we don't have to start guessing everything else. Okay, that's much better. So the quick links here, we're going to put an ordered list, and then list item, and then an A tag for that list, for that item. So home, like this, that's a link. If I refresh, you see it there. So let's duplicate this. In fact, I can do this to these guys, then duplicate them a few more times. I can say something like login, sign up, home, latest, just some links there. So refresh, and there we go. Good. Now they really look like links here, so we need to add some classes. I've forgotten the classes we need to add here. Let me add a class here though of nav, so that we know this is a navigation. Now when I put nav, it does this, but I think there's if I say nav, is it column? Maybe it changes things. No, that's not the one. There's a class I added here. I got it from the Bootstrap website, but let me just confirm. It's flex column. That's the one. So not nav, but flex column. That's the name of the class. It makes them go down like this, so much better. But let's leave less space, especially on the, let's say, let's try, you know what, I want to put all of this inside another div to leave more room on the sides, but let me try padding 5 instead. I wanted more room here, more space. Okay, maybe that's better. So quick links, if the top you wanted to have a different one, you can say PT2 maybe, so that the top one has a different padding level. There we go. I think 4 was fine. Okay, so I'm going to copy these to this one here. Now of course you can type different stuff here, maybe featured, new release, etc, etc. So just so it's different, you have different links here and there. Okay, then let's put this one here. So I want to put this here, and then follow us down there to receive news. Okay, so right here I will put one in a div, and let's put this in small text, and I'm going to say to receive news content. Okay, so I'm going to go back. All right, I'm going to go back to input groups. I want to get this, which is this one here again. So I'm going to copy that, paste it here. Let's see what we have. And here I'll change that to subscribe. Missing an R there. And this one to placeholder to email. These accessibility, you can remove these guys. Not really needed. So let's check that out. And there we go, that's what we have. But the color here, I used the blue color. So also there is margin bottom here. We can say margin top to give it more space at the top too. And also I think the small is unnecessary. The text has become too small. Wait, where has it gone? Oopsie daisy. I needed to remove this small. It has become too small. So margin top 2. There we go, much better. Then let's change that color to blue, this one. So we just give it, we can say BG primary. And then we want the text to be white, so text white. And refresh. There we go. So subscribe. There's a follow thing down here. So what I would do is I'll copy what I had done at the top there, which has Twitter. This is the one here. Copy. This is in the nav bar at the top. That part here. So I just want to copy it and bring it down here. So down to the footer, and right here, paste. Let's see how well that does. And there we go. Then we can just simply say follow us, like this, space, and there we go, follow us. And that's that there. Let's remove the MX3 here. We don't need that margin. And the H may be 5 instead of 4, so the text is smaller. Much better. Okay, so there we have a footer now. Now let's see how responsive it is. So responsive view, and let's go down. So everything here looks very responsive, which is nice, except oh, you see there's too much gap between these guys, such that when it gets here it leaves too much space. So we may want to change the margin there. We'll change it. Also, you see these guys, if they go, no matter how much we squeeze, it always stays like this, which is not good. So we need to let it switch at some point. So what I want to do is, let's go to, this is the column 6, column 3, 3. So what I want is, on medium, these two should fill up the whole space together, and this one should have a space of its own. So we can put a second one here. Okay, so I'll do this. What do I do here? I'll say column medium 6, like that, and then here 12 at medium. So in the medium, this one should take half the space, this one full space, 12. Let's see if this actually works. So it seems we're already on medium. Okay, so it's working here, but then here no. Okay, so I've done the opposite of what I ought to do. So what I should do is do this one, 3, 3, 6, like this. So let me remove these guys. Let's start with 1 there and understand what's going on. Okay, so start with the medium. When we get to a certain point, like here, they all go this way. And then after this, they're like this. But at some point, they all become 1. But I want still here, they should be left, right. But before that, let's put some space on the bottom of each one of these. So I'm going to select here, here, and say margin bottom maybe 4. Yeah, so they can leave space between each other. Then also here, I want this to share this until a certain point there, which is on the small. So what I'll do is I need to add one more here. This one is column. Let's put small. I want 6 here, 6. This one I think is fine. Let's see. Okay, so there it is, it's working at some point, and then boom, it goes here at the small size, then and then 3. Okay, great. All right, so everything seems fine except for the top part here. A few things we need to adjust. The first thing is we want this thing to remain at the top, but before that, if I scroll down, this is white. I want, in case you want this black to match this, let's go to the header very quickly. Yes, look for the drop downs like genre here. So here on the unordered list, I'll say B. Let me try nav. Is it navbar dark or something? Yes, navbar dark. Let's see if that will work on genre. No, it doesn't work. So instead we'll say BG dark. So let's try that, and it has worked. The problem is the text is now black, so let's try text white here to see what happens. That doesn't work either. So what we'll do is let's move the text white into the items themselves. Copy that, put that there, put this there. I don't know, maybe there's a better way to do this, but this works fine for me. So let's do the same thing for these items here on the profile page, and then BG dark. Let's also add let's change this for the user. This one should be profile, and maybe settings, and this one will be logout. So let's put some icons here as well. I tag. Oops, look what I have done. Put some classes. We know it's BI and then BI something. I know the first one is person. I don't know about the logout and the other ones, so let's go and try this. Logout, there's I think this is the logout thing, box arrow right. So and then for settings, I think it's gear. Yep, there's gear field, there's gear only here, so let's try gear. Great. So back here, refresh, and now you see we have some icons there, which is rather nice. Okay, very good. Now to fix this to the top is simple. We just go to the nav where it starts. This is all the navigation up to the top here. And anywhere here, just put, wait, there's a class. Now the way I it's fixed actually. It's just fixed top like that. So if I refresh, you notice that certain things have gone inward for here, right? Now the thing stays at the top just like that. But the problem is now everything else starts from here and is hidden by this. So we need to give it enough space at the top to get to the bottom here. So what I would do is just after the navigation here, come down, down, down. We can put a spacer here, right? Let's try to put a spacer. Now it depends what you want to do. Here you can put padding top and increase it, then even put a margin if you want. Let's increase it to 5. Let's see what happens. Okay, that seems to actually do the job, because now we have these guys here, which is nice actually. You can also, because that's the maximum there, so you can also put margin top maybe 2, so that combined margin plus padding will move things even further like that. So let's try and do responsive. Let's see if these are hidden at some point. So let's squeeze, 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 and as you can see, they hide at a certain point here. Okay, so not cool, even more as we go down here. So this is the point where I want to show you how to put specific styles at a specific width if you want. In case you're not getting what you want from Bootstrap, you can put your own custom stuff. So let's just monitor where this breaking point happens. So right about here, if I go back, the width is here showing. So if I try to go, let me see what number it is. This is 602. So it's right at 602 where things start to break. So what I'll do is I'm going to add a spacer here, a div. I'll give it a class name of nav spacer. That way I can add a height of this that I want in order to give space between these two. So let me get this though. Now the thing is, I don't want this nav spacer active above 602 pixels because everything is fine here. I just want it active below 602 pixels. So what I'll do is I'll go to the custom CSS, and right down here I'll put nav spacer, and then I want it to have, let's say, a height of, let's try 50 pixels. I want to see where, so you see I add more space, but I want to see how far I can go here. So you see here it still covers that, so let's add some more. Let's put it at 100. Refresh. Oh, that's too much. Let's try 80. Let's see there. Okay, 80 seems fine. But if I move like this, at some point this snaps and then there's too much space there. But if you want to leave it like that, that's fine. And then we even get to this point where we start seeing that, which is not cool. So the spacer is here. So what we can do is maybe to put the spacer in here, inside this item, so that even as we add more space, this is still up there. So let me refresh. We don't see that line anymore. That's much better. But I want the spacer only active after this point, 602. So to do that, we create what is known as a media query. So we put this style inside a media query. So we'll say media, and then we'll say max width 602 pixels. So what this means is that any styles I put here will work until we reach 602 pixels. That's the maximum working time. After that, they disappear, they don't work anymore. So which means 602 and below will be the operating area of the styles I put in here. Now you can put as many media queries as you want for specific points. So here, let's start with the 602. I'll refresh and let's go this way and see. So as you can see, above 602, that spacer is not there. But the moment I pass 602, it activates to move everything down, as you can see, but it's gone too far. So let's try 50 pixels. See daisy. Oh God. Okay, so refresh, and there we go. Okay, so much better. If I go here, it snaps, at least it looks the same. But then if I go even further, it's going to snap again. So there we need to add another media query to move things down. So from 434, 438, 437, 436. So I'm just trying to see at which point it does that. It's at 434. So I'm going to activate these guys at 434 and below. So I'll do this again, duplicate this, 434 pixels. Let's increase that to 80. So it's not just these styles you can put any styles, you can change colors of things, etc, etc, and I can show you that real quick. Let me refresh. That didn't work, so let's try 435 to include that one. Okay, there we go, good. So boom. So at this point the responsiveness is good, everything seems to work just fine. But this, as you can see, keeps going even to this level, past the 350 point. So I don't like that. So what I would do is I'll go back to HTML, and the navigation itself, I want it to have a limit. So I'll just put this at the style here and say minimum width 350 pixels, like that, and refresh. That way there's a limit to how far it can go. Alrighty then. So to show you that you can do so much with media queries, I'm going to do something drastic here in the media query. Let's change the image at 602, right? So we know that the background image for, where is that? This is the background image for the hero area, right? So I'll copy this hero area stuff, come down. Media queries are better at the bottom all the time so that they can replace the styles at the top. So I'll put this style in a media query here at 602, and the only thing I want to change is the background image. So I'll change this to image 12 instead of 14. So you will notice that if I refresh, oh wait, yeah, at that point you see that the image has changed in the background, right? So mobile users will see a different image, desktop users will see a different image. So you can change really anything about the design. You can make things disappear at a mobile level, things that will be active on a desktop. You can really do anything there. So any styles you put in here will become active at 602 and below. So great, let's save this. So far so good, everything is done. We are complete. So great, things are working out very nice. hover effect happening. Okay, and a footer there. So hopefully you have learned something new here, and you can let me know if you like it. We can add a music player down here to play the songs. The music player will always be below here, and then we can make it a functional PHP website eventually. Right, so I'll see you in another tutorial.